"Shut up! You stink worse than the cigarette." That's what my father-in-law screamed at me before he punched me in the face, right there, in my own apartment. While my 6-month-old son was sleeping 10 feet away, my mother-in-law just stood there, smiling. Bennett had no idea what was coming, but I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Jasper Stevens. I'm 29 years old. I work in IT for a mid-sized logistics company in Ohio. Nothing fancy. Server maintenance, troubleshooting, occasional coding, stable job, decent pay, enough to support my wife Audrey and our son. This is what really happened. It was a Tuesday evening, late September. The kind of night where you can feel fall settling in, cool air coming through the window, that smell of leaves starting to turn. I'd just gotten home from work around 6:30. Audrey was in the kitchen heating up leftover pasta. Our son Noah had finally gone down for his evening nap after fighting it for 20 minutes. The baby monitor sat on the kitchen counter, that soft, static hum filling the silence between us. "Your parents are coming over," Audrey said, not looking up from the stove. I stopped mid-step. "Tonight?" "Yeah, my mom texted an hour ago. Said they wanted to see Noah." I felt that familiar tightness in my chest, the same one I'd been ignoring for months. "Did you tell them he just went down?" "I did. She said they'd be quiet." I didn't say anything. What was there to say? They were already on their way. Bennett and Claire, my in-laws. Audrey's parents had always been involved. That's the polite way to put it. From the moment we got engaged 3 years ago, they'd made it clear they had opinions about where we lived, about my job, about how much money I made, about when we should have kids. When Audrey got pregnant, it got worse. Bennett started showing up unannounced, offering advice that sounded more like orders, telling me I needed to make more money, get a better car, move to a bigger place. Claire would smile and nod, backing up everything he said like some kind of silent enforcer, but I kept my mouth shut. For Audrey, for the peace. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I opened it. Bennett walked in first, already smelling like Marlboros and cheap beer. He was a big guy, 6'2", probably 240, most of it around his gut, flannel shirt, jeans stained with something I didn't want to identify. He brushed past me without a word, heading straight for the living room like he owned the place. Claire followed behind him, smaller, quieter, always watching. She gave me that thin smile she always wore, the kind that never reached her eyes. "Where's my grandson?" Bennett's voice boomed through the apartment. "He's sleeping," I said, keeping my tone even. "Just went down about 30 minutes ago." Bennett waved his hand like I'd said something stupid. "He'll be fine. Kids sleep too much anyway." He walked toward the bedroom. "Bennett," I said, louder this time. "He needs his sleep. Doctor said," Bennett mocked, turning to look at me. "You worry too much, Jasper. That's your problem. Always worrying." Audrey appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. "Dad, please. If he wakes up now, he'll be up all night." Bennett looked at his daughter, then back at me. For a second, I thought he might actually listen. Then he shrugged and sat down on our couch, pulled out a pack of cigarettes. "Bennett," I said immediately. "Not inside, please." He looked at me like I'd just insulted him. "What?" "Not inside," I repeated. "Audrey's got asthma. And Noah, one cigarette's not gonna hurt anybody," he said, flicking his lighter. I stepped forward. "I'm asking you not to smoke in here." He lit it anyway. Took a long drag. Blew the smoke toward the ceiling. Claire sat down next to him, folding her hands in her lap, watching me. I felt my jaw tighten. Audrey looked at me, her eyes saying, "Please don't make this worse." "The baby's sleeping in the bedroom," I said, my voice calm but firm. "The smoke's gonna go right in there. I'm asking you, respectfully, to take it outside." Bennett stood up, slowly. He was 6 inches taller than me, 50 pounds heavier. "You know what your problem is, Jasper?" he said, stepping closer. "You think you're better than everyone else. You think because you got some desk job, you can tell me what to do in my daughter's house." "It's our house," I said quietly, "not from where I'm standing." The cigarette dangled from his mouth. Smoke curled up between us. I didn't move. "Bennett," Audrey said, her voice shaking. "Please, just shut up, Audrey," he snapped, not even looking at her. That's when I knew. This wasn't about the cigarette. This was about control. Bennett took another step forward, close enough that I could smell the beer on his breath mixed with the tobacco. "You got something to say to me?" he said, his voice low. "I'm asking you to respect our home," I said. "That's it." He laughed, a short, bitter sound. "Respect," he repeated. "You want respect?" Then he said it. "Shut up. You stink worse than the cigarette." and he swung. The punch caught me on the left side of my jaw, not hard enough to drop me, but hard enough to snap my head to the side. I stumbled back 2 steps, my hand going to my face. Audrey screamed. Claire just sat there, smiling. I looked at Bennett. He was breathing hard, fists still clenched, waiting to see what I'd do. I didn't do anything. I just looked at him, really looked at him. And I thought, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. But I didn't say that out loud. I turned and walked into the bedroom, closed the door behind me, stood there in the dark, listening to Noah's soft breathing through the baby monitor. My phone was in my pocket. I pulled it out, opened the camera, and I started recording. I stood in that dark bedroom for maybe 2 minutes, just breathing, listening to Noah through the monitor, his tiny chest rising and falling, completely unaware of what had just happened 10 feet away. My jaw throbbed. I could already feel it swelling, but that wasn't what I was thinking about. I was thinking about evidence, about documentation, about making sure that when this came back around, and it would come back around, I had everything I needed. Through the closed door, I could hear Bennett's voice, loud, aggressive, telling Audrey I was disrespectful, that I provoked him, that he was just trying to help, and I threw it back in his face. Claire's voice, softer, agreeing with everything he said. Audrey crying. I took 3 photos of my face in the bathroom mirror. The red mark on my jaw, the slight swelling starting under my left eye, time-stamped, dated, stored in a locked folder on my phone. Then I went back out. Bennett was still standing in the living room, arms crossed, like he was waiting for round 2. "Get out," I said. My voice was calm, flat, no emotion. He looked at me like I'd said something in another language. "What?" "Get out of my apartment," I repeated. "Now." "Jasper," Audrey started. I held up my hand, not to her, just a gesture. "Wait, you punched me in my home," I said, looking directly at Bennett. "In front of my wife, with my 6-month-old son sleeping in the next room. You're leaving. Right now." Bennett's face went red. "You little..." "Dad," Audrey said, stepping between us. "Just go. Please, just go." He looked at his daughter, then at me, then at Claire, who was still sitting on the couch like this was dinner theater. "Fine," he spat. "But don't come crying to me when you realize what a mistake you made marrying this piece of..." "Leave," I said. He stormed toward the door. Claire stood slowly, smoothing her cardigan, that same thin smile on her face. "You'll regret this," she said quietly as she passed me. I didn't respond. The door slammed behind them. Audrey collapsed onto the couch, her face in her hands, sobbing. I sat down next to her, put my arm around her shoulders, didn't say anything, just let her cry. After a few minutes, she looked up at me. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "You don't have to apologize for him," I said. He's never hit anyone before. Not like that." I didn't say anything, because that wasn't true, and I think she knew it. Let me back up. I met Audrey 4 years ago. I was 25. She was 24. We worked at the same company, different departments, but same building. She was in HR, I was in IT. Classic setup. She was smart, funny, kind. Had this way of seeing the good in people even when they didn't deserve it. I fell hard. We dated for a year before I proposed. Small wedding, nothing fancy. Her parents paid for most of it, which I didn't love, but Audrey wanted them involved. I understood. Family mattered to her. Bennett and Claire seemed fine at first. A little overbearing, maybe. A little too invested in our life decisions, but nothing I couldn't handle. Bennett was a retired factory worker. 40 years on the line at an auto parts plant outside Cleveland. He'd been laid off 3 years before we met, took early retirement and hadn't worked since. He drank. A lot. And he had opinions. About everything. Claire was a homemaker. Quiet. Always deferring to Bennett. Always backing him up, no matter what he said. The first red flag came 6 months into our marriage. We'd bought our first place together. A small 2-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood. Nothing special, but it was ours. We were proud of it. Bennett showed up unannounced one Saturday morning. Walked in, looked around and said, "This is what you could afford?" Not congratulations. Not nice place. Just judgment. Audrey laughed it off. Said he was just being protective. That he wanted the best for us. I didn't say anything. The second red flag came a year later. Audrey got pregnant. We were excited. Nervous, but excited. We told her parents over dinner at their place. Bennett's first question wasn't congratulations or how are you feeling? It was, how are you going to afford this? Then he spent the next hour telling me I needed to get a better job. make more money, move to a bigger place, that I wasn't prepared to be a father. Claire nodded along. He's just worried about you two, she said. Audrey cried in the car on the way home. I told her it would be fine, that we'd figure it out, that we didn't need his approval. But the visits kept coming. Bennett started showing up at our apartment once a week, sometimes twice, always unannounced, always with something to criticize. The car I drove, the furniture we bought, the way we'd set up the nursery. And he drank. Every time. Always a beer in his hand, always that edge in his voice. I kept my mouth shut. For Audrey, for the baby. Then Noah was born, 6 months ago. April 7th, 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Healthy. Perfect. The best day of my life. Bennett showed up at the hospital 3 hours after delivery. Drunk. Loud. Demanding to see his grandson. The nurses almost kicked him out. Audrey was exhausted. Emotional. She begged me not to make a scene. So I didn't. I let him hold Noah for 5 minutes. Let him take his photos. Let him play the proud grandpa. Then I walked him to the elevator and told him if he ever showed up drunk around my son again, he wouldn't be welcome. He laughed in my face. You don't get to make the rules, Jasper, he said. That's my daughter, my grandson. You're just the guy who married her. The elevator doors closed. I went back to Audrey's room, sat down next to her bed, watched Noah sleep in her arms, and I made a decision. I was going to protect my family from anyone, including Bennett. Over the next 6 months, I started paying attention, really paying attention. Bennett came over at least twice a week, sometimes more, always unannounced, always pushing boundaries. He'd walk in without knocking, open the fridge and help himself, turn on the TV, light up a cigarette on our balcony, sometimes inside if I wasn't watching. He'd criticize everything, the way Audrey held Noah, the way I burped him, the formula we used, the diapers, the clothes, always drunk, always loud, always looking for a fight. And Claire, she just watched, never said a word, just that smile. I started documenting, not obsessively, just notes, mental timestamps. The time Bennett showed up at 11 p.m., pounding on the door, demanding to see Noah even though he was asleep. The time he grabbed Audrey's arm hard enough to leave a bruise when she told him he couldn't take Noah out without asking us first. The time he told me I was worthless because I wouldn't loan him $500. I didn't write it all down, not yet. But I remembered, because I knew. Guys like Bennett don't stop. They escalate, and I needed to be ready when he did. Audrey tried to defend him, she always did. He's just old-fashioned, she'd say. He doesn't mean it. He loves Noah, he's just rough around the edges. He's been through a lot, losing his job, getting older. He's just frustrated. I didn't argue with her. What was the point? She was his daughter. She'd spent her whole life learning to excuse his behavior, to smooth things over, to keep the peace. That's what kids of abusive parents do. They normalize it. I understood that. But I wasn't his kid, and Noah sure as hell wasn't going to grow up thinking this was normal. 2 weeks before the punch, something changed. Bennett had been drinking more, coming over more often, getting more aggressive. One night he showed up at 8:30. We were getting ready to put Noah down for the night. Bath time, bottle, the whole routine. Bennett walked in, didn't knock, and announced he was staying over. What? I said. I'm staying tonight, he repeated. Got into it with Claire. Need a place to crash. Audrey looked at me, panicked. Dad, we don't have space. I'll take the couch, he said, already sitting down, beer in hand, remote in the other. I stood there for a long moment. Then I said, no. He looked up. What? You're not staying here, I said. Go home, work it out with Claire. But you're not staying here. His face went dark. You telling me I can't stay in my daughter's house? It's our house, I said. And no, you're not staying. Audrey was frozen, tears in her eyes. Bennett stood up, slow, deliberate. You think you're a man now? He said. Because you knocked up my daughter? You think that makes you something? I think it makes me Noah's father, I said. And I'm not letting you sleep 10 feet away from him when you're drunk. He got in my face, close enough that I could smell the alcohol. You're making a mistake, he said quietly. Maybe, I said, but it's my house, my family, my rules. He stared at me for 5 full seconds. Then he turned and walked out, slammed the door so hard the frame shook. Audrey cried for an hour. I held Noah and watched the baby monitor, that little green light blinking in the dark. And I thought, this is going to get worse before it gets better. I was right. 2 weeks later, Bennett showed up on a Tuesday evening. with the cigarettes, with the attitude, with his fists, and I was ready. After Bennett and Claire left that Tuesday night, I sat on the couch with Audrey for maybe 20 minutes. She cried. I held her, didn't say much. What was there to say? My jaw still throbbed. I could feel it swelling under my hand. I'll talk to him, Audrey said finally, wiping her eyes. I'll make him apologize. I looked at her. Audrey. He was drunk. He didn't mean it. He punched me in our home, I said quietly, while our son was sleeping 15 feet away. There's no excuse for that. I know, she whispered. I know. But he's my father. I'm not asking you to cut him off, I said. I'm just saying, this isn't okay. You know that, right? She nodded, but I could see it in her eyes. That familiar conflict. The daughter who'd spent 29 years learning to excuse, to smooth over, to make peace with her father's behavior. I didn't push it. Not yet. I'm going to ice my face, I said, standing up. Check on Noah. Then we'll talk. She nodded again. I went into the bedroom. Noah was still asleep. On his back, arms stretched above his head, that peaceful expression babies get when they're deep under. The baby monitor on the dresser glowed soft green in the dark. I stood there for a minute, just watching him breathe. Then I took my phone out. I'd already taken the photos of my jaw, 3 different angles, time-stamped. Clear images showing the redness, the swelling starting to form. Now I opened my notes app, and I started writing. Date, September 24th, 8:47 p.m. Location, our apartment, 2847 Mill Creek Doctor, Unit 12. Incident, physical assault by Bennett Hayes, father-in-law. Details, Bennett arrived unannounced at approximately 7:50 p.m., already intoxicated, smell of alcohol, slurred speech, aggressive behavior. Lit cigarette inside apartment despite being asked not to. Became verbally aggressive when asked to smoke outside, stated, "Shut up! You stink worse than the cigarette!" Punched me in the left jaw cheek area with closed fist. Claire Hayes, mother-in-law present during incident, did not intervene. Noah, 6 months old, sleeping in adjacent bedroom. Photos taken immediately after incident. Witnesses, Audrey Stevens, wife, Claire Hayes, mother-in-law, complicit, passive. I saved the note, backed it up to my cloud storage, made sure it was encrypted. Then I went into the bathroom and iced my jaw. In the mirror, the mark was already darkening, purple creeping in around the edges. By tomorrow, it would be a full bruise. Good. I know that sounds cold, but I needed visible evidence. I needed something that couldn't be argued away or minimized or excused, because I knew how this worked. Bennett would tell everyone I started it, that I was disrespectful, that he was just defending himself, that I was blowing it out of proportion. Claire would back him up. She always did. And Audrey would want to believe him, because it was easier than accepting that her father was violent. So I needed proof, not just photos, not just notes. I needed a pattern. I came back out to the living room. Audrey was on her phone, texting someone. Her mother, probably. How bad is it? She asked, looking up at me. It'll bruise, I said. I'll be fine. She looked like she might cry again. Audrey, I said, sitting down next to her. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. She nodded. Has he ever done this before? She looked away. No, Audrey. Not like this. I waited. He shoved me a few times, she said quietly. When I was younger, teenage stuff, when I talked back or stayed out too late. Nothing serious. He's put his hands on you. It wasn't abuse, she said quickly. It was just discipline. He's old school. That's how his parents raised him. I didn't argue, but I filed that away, shoved her. Multiple times. Normalized violence. Has he ever hit your mom? Audrey hesitated. I don't know. Maybe. They fight a lot. She never said anything specific, but I heard things when I was growing up. Yelling. Things breaking. She'd have bruises sometimes. She always said she was clumsy. I nodded slowly. Okay. Why are you asking me this? Because I need to understand what we're dealing with, I said. This wasn't a one-time thing. This is a pattern. And if we don't deal with it now, it's going to happen again. He won't, Audrey said. I'll talk to him. I'll make sure. Audrey, I said gently. He punched me in our home, in front of you, with Noah sleeping right there, and your mom smiled. She went quiet. I'm not trying to hurt you, I said. I'm not trying to turn you against your parents, but I need you to see this for what it is. She nodded, tears running down her face again. I love you, I said, and I love Noah, and I will do whatever it takes to keep both of you safe. even if that means making decisions you don't like. What does that mean? It means I'm not letting this go, I said. And it means Bennett doesn't come back here until this is dealt with. Legally. Her eyes went wide. Legally? Jasper, you can't. He assaulted me, I said. That's a crime. I have the right to report it. He's my father. And I'm your husband, and Noah's father. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to let him do this again. Audrey put her face in her hands. I gave her space. Let her process. After a few minutes, she looked up at me. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I said, which was half true. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She nodded. Barely. Okay, I said. Let's get some sleep. We'll talk more tomorrow. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Audrey, listening to Noah through the monitor, and I thought through every scenario. Option 1, do nothing. Let it go. Accept Bennett's inevitable half apology. Move on. Result, he'd do it again. Maybe not next week. Maybe not next month. But eventually, because that's what guys like Bennett do. They test boundaries. They escalate. And if you don't push back, they learn they can get away with it. Option 2, confront him. Man to man. Tell him if he ever touched me again, there'd be consequences. Result, he'd laugh in my face. Or swing again. Either way, it wouldn't stop him. Guys like Bennett don't respond to threats. They respond to power. Option 3, go legal. File a police report. Press charges. Create a paper trail. Result, Bennett would lose his mind. Audrey would be devastated. Her family would turn against me. Claire would play victim. It would get ugly. But it would also send a message. A clear, undeniable message. You don't get to do this. I thought about Noah, sleeping peacefully in his crib, completely unaware that his grandfather had just committed assault 10 feet away from him. What would I tell him when he was older? That I let it slide? That I kept the peace? That I prioritized his mother's feelings over his safety? Or would I tell him I stood up? That I drew a line? That I protected him? The choice was obvious. The next morning, I woke up at 6. My jaw was stiff. The bruise had fully developed. Deep purple with yellow edges. Ugly. I took more photos. Different lighting. Different angles. Documented everything. Audrey was still asleep. Noah was starting to stir in his crib. I got him up. Changed him. Made a bottle. Sat with him in the living room while he ate. His little hand wrapped around my finger. Hey, buddy, I whispered. Your grandpa's an asshole, but you're not gonna grow up thinking that's normal, I promise. He looked up at me with those big eyes. Trusting. Innocent. I kissed his forehead. At 7:15, I called in sick to work. Told my manager I had a family emergency. He didn't ask questions. At 7:30, Audrey came out of the bedroom, saw my face in the morning light. Her hand went to her mouth. Oh my God. It's fine, I said. It's not fine. Jasper, you need to see a doctor. I will. Later. Right now I need to do something else. What? I looked at her. I'm going to the police station. Her face went pale. No, Jasper, please. Audrey, I said calmly. He assaulted me. That's a crime. I have the right to report it. But he's my father. And he punched me in our home, I said. In front of you. With our son 15 feet away. What happens next time? What if next time he's holding Noah? What if next time you get in his way? She started crying again. I stood up, put Noah in his bouncer, walked over to her and put my hands on her shoulders. I love you, I said, and I know this is hard, but I need you to trust me. This is the right thing to do. He'll hate you, she whispered. He already hates me, I said. This just makes it official. She didn't try to stop me. I drove to the local police station at 8 a.m. Small building, brick, American flag out front, 3 cruisers in the parking lot. I walked in, spoke to the officer at the front desk, mid-40s, tired eyes. Name tag said, Morrison. I'd like to file a report, I said. Assault. He looked up at me, saw my face. His expression changed. When did this happen? Last night, around 8:15. Who did it? My father-in-law. He nodded slowly. Come with me. They took my statement, took more photos, asked me questions. Was I afraid for my safety? Did I want to press charges? Was there a history of violence? I answered everything, calmly, clearly, gave them dates, times, details. The officer, Detective Ramirez, a woman in her early 50s, listened carefully, took notes, asked follow-up questions. Does he have a history of violence? She asked. Yes, I said. According to my wife, he shoved her multiple times when she was younger. My mother-in-law may also be a victim, though she's never reported anything. Ramirez wrote that down. Does he drink? Heavily. He was intoxicated when he assaulted me. Does he have access to weapons? I paused. I don't know. Possibly. She nodded. Do you feel you or your family are in immediate danger? I don't think he'll come back right away, I said. But yes, I think if he's allowed to continue having access to my home and my family, the violence will escalate. Do you have a child in the home? Yes, 6-month-old son. He was sleeping in the next room when the assault occurred. Her pen stopped moving. She looked up at me. He assaulted you with a child present? Yes, ma'am. Her jaw tightened. Okay, we're going to move forward with this. I'm going to recommend charges. Given the circumstances, assault, intoxication, child in the home, history of violence, we'll likely pursue this as aggravated assault with a domestic violence enhancement. What does that mean? It means we take it seriously, she said. It means there will be consequences, and it means we can request a restraining order to keep him away from you and your family while this is pending. I nodded. Okay. I need you to understand, she said. Once we file this, it's out of your hands. The state will prosecute. Even if you change your mind later, we'll move forward. Do you understand? Yes. Are you sure you want to do this? I thought about Noah, about Audrey, about the baby monitor glowing in the dark. Yes, I said. I'm sure. I left the police station at 10:30. My phone had 7 missed calls, all from Audrey. 3 texts. My mom called. She knows you went to the police. She's freaking out. Says you're trying to destroy the family. Please call me. I drove home. Walked in. Audrey was on the couch holding Noah, her face red from crying. They know, she said. How? I don't know. My mom just called screaming, said you went to the police, said you're making a huge mistake, that you're going to regret this. I sat down next to her. I'm not. Jasper, they're my parents, and they need to face consequences, I said. Bennett doesn't get to hit me and walk away. That's not how this works. She looked at me, fear in her eyes. What happens now? Now we wait, I said. The police will investigate. They'll contact Bennett. They'll likely arrest him. Arrest him? He committed a crime, Audrey. This is what happens when you commit a crime. She put her face against Noah's head and cried. I put my arm around her, and I waited. The phone calls started within an hour. First Claire, then Bennett's brother Marcus, then Audrey's Aunt Linda, then people I'd never even met, cousins, family friends, neighbors from Audrey's childhood, all of them with the same message. You're making a mistake. You're tearing the family apart. Bennett didn't mean it. He was drunk. You're overreacting. I didn't answer any of them. Audrey did. She sat on the couch with Noah in her lap, phone pressed to her ear, crying while her mother screamed at her through the speaker. I could hear Claire's voice from across the room, shrill, accusatory. How could you let him do this? He's your father, and you're just going to sit there and let Jasper destroy him? Mom, you didn't what? You didn't know. You didn't try to stop him? What kind of daughter are you? Audrey sobbed into the phone. He hit Jasper, he hit him. What was I supposed to do? It was an accident. Your father was drunk, he didn't know what he was doing. That doesn't make it okay. Don't you dare defend that man over your own father. I stood up, walked over, took the phone from Audrey's hand. Mrs. Hayes, I said calmly, this conversation is over. I hung up. Audrey looked at me, her face pale. She's going to call back. Let her, I said. You don't have to answer. She's my mother, and she's defending a man who assaulted me in our home, I said. You don't owe her an explanation. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Audrey's phone buzzed again. Claire. I declined the call. Then I blocked the number. Jasper, you can unblock her later if you want, I said. But right now, you need space. We both do. She didn't argue. The calls kept coming for the rest of the day. I blocked every number I didn't recognize, sent every family member straight to voicemail. At 2 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Mr. Stevens? A woman's voice. Professional. Calm. Yes, this is Detective Ramirez. We spoke this morning. Yes, ma'am. I wanted to update you. We contacted Mr. Hayes about an hour ago, informed him of the charges and asked him to come in for questioning. And? He refused, became verbally aggressive with the officer on the phone, made threats. I felt my jaw tighten. What kind of threats? Nothing specific enough to warrant immediate action, but enough to support our case. We're proceeding with a warrant for his arrest. When? Tonight. Maybe tomorrow morning. Depends on when we can locate him. He's not answering his phone and his wife claims she doesn't know where he is. Okay. Mr. Stevens, I need you to be aware. Once we arrest him, this is going to escalate. Family members will likely increase contact. Some may show up at your home. I recommend you consider a restraining order, not just against Mr. Hayes, but potentially against anyone who makes you feel unsafe. I understand. Do you have somewhere you can go if you need to? Family? Friends? We'll be fine, I said. Okay. I'll call you when we have him in custody. She hung up. I stood there for a moment staring at my phone. Audrey looked up at me from the couch. What did she say? They're going to arrest him. Tonight or tomorrow. Her face crumpled. Oh, God. I sat down next to her, put my hand on her knee. This is the right thing. It doesn't feel right, she whispered. I know. At 4 p.m., someone knocked on the door. 3 sharp raps. Aggressive. I looked through the peephole. Marcus. Bennett's younger brother. 6 foot, 220, shaved head, sleeve tattoos, looked like a bouncer, acted like one too. I didn't open the door. Jasper! Marcus's voice boomed through the door. Open up, I know you're in there. Audrey stood up, Noah in her arms. Who is it? Your uncle. Another knock. Harder this time. Jasper, open this door. Go away, Marcus, I called through the door. Not until you talk to me. There's nothing to talk about. The hell there isn't! You called the cops on my brother, over some stupid fight! He assaulted me, I said calmly. That's not a fight. That's a crime. Oh, bullshit. Bennett told me what happened. You disrespected him in his daughter's house. It's my house, I said. And when he stood up for himself, you went crying to the police like a little bitch. I took a breath, kept my voice level. Marcus, I'm asking you to leave. If you don't, I'll call the police. He laughed. A harsh, ugly sound. You're gonna call the cops on me too? Jesus Christ, Jasper, what kind of man are you? The kind who doesn't let people assault him in his own home, I said. Now leave. Silence. Then, Audrey, Marcus yelled. Audrey, come talk to me. Tell this asshole to drop the charges. Audrey stood frozen in the middle of the living room, tears streaming down her face. I walked over to her, took Noah from her arms. Go to the bedroom. Lock the door. Jasper, go. She went. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Someone's at my door making threats, I said. Refusing to leave. I need an officer. Marcus must have heard me through the door because suddenly he went quiet. Then, you're really gonna do this? I didn't answer. Fine, he said. But you better watch your back, Jasper. Family doesn't forget. I heard his footsteps retreating down the hallway. The 911 operator was still on the line. Sir, is the person still there? No, he just left. Do you want an officer to come take a report? I thought about it. Yes, please, stay on the line. 2 officers arrived 15 minutes later. I gave them the details, showed them my security camera footage from the hallway, Marcus pounding on the door, yelling threats. They took notes, asked if I wanted to press charges. Not right now, I said, but I want it documented, in case he comes back. They nodded. Told me to call immediately if anyone from Bennett's family showed up again, gave me their card. After they left, I went into the bedroom. Audrey was sitting on the bed, holding Noah, rocking back and forth. It's okay, I said softly. They're gone. This is insane, she whispered. This is absolutely insane. I know. My whole family hates us now. Not us, I said. Me. They hate me. Same thing. I sat down next to her. Audrey, listen to me. What happened tonight? With Marcus. That's exactly why I filed the report. Because guys like Bennett don't work alone. They have enablers. People who make excuses for them. People who intimidate and threaten anyone who stands up to them. Marcus wouldn't actually hurt you. Maybe not, I said. But he showed up at our door and made threats. That's not okay. And if we don't draw a line now, it's going to keep happening. She looked at me. I feel like I'm choosing between you and my family. You're not, I said. You're choosing between what's right and what's easy. And I know that's not fair. I know this is hard, but I need you to trust me. She nodded slowly. I do. I wish this wasn't happening. Me too. At 8:30 p.m., my phone rang. Detective Ramirez. Mr. Stevens, we have Bennett Hayes in custody. I felt something settle in my chest. Relief. Validation. Where did you find him? Local bar. He'd been drinking since this afternoon. Tried to resist arrest. We had to restrain him. Is he okay? He's fine. Belligerent, but fine. He's being processed now. Should be arraigned tomorrow morning. What happens next? Judge will set bail. Given the circumstances, assault, intoxication, resisting arrest, threats made to law enforcement, I'm guessing bail will be set fairly high. 10 to 15,000. Will he make it? That depends on whether his family can come up with the money. If they can, he'll be released pending trial. If not, he stays in jail until the court date. And the restraining order? We'll request it at arraignment. If granted, he won't be allowed within 500 feet of you, your wife, or your home. Okay? Mr. Stevens, I want to be clear with you. This is just the beginning. The trial could take months. His family will likely continue to harass you. There may be more threats. You need to be prepared for that. I am. Good. I'll call you after arraignment tomorrow. She hung up. I sat there for a moment, staring at my phone. Then I walked into the bedroom. Audrey was nursing Noah, her eyes red from crying. They arrested him, I said quietly. She closed her eyes. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I sat down next to her, put my arm around her shoulders. I'm sorry, I said. I know this is hard. He's going to hate me, she whispered. He already hates me, I said. Nothing we do is going to change that. What if my family never speaks to me again? Then they were never your family to begin with, I said. Real family doesn't defend abusers. Real family protects each other. She leaned her head against my shoulder. Noah finished nursing. I took him from her, burped him, put him down in his crib. The baby monitor glowed green in the dark. I stood there watching him sleep. My jaw still ached. The bruise was darker now, deep purple spreading across my cheekbone, but I didn't regret it. Not for a second. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to Noah's breathing through the monitor, and I thought about everything that had happened in the last 36 hours. Bennett punching me, the police report, the calls, the threats, Marcus at the door, the arrest. And I realized something. This wasn't just about Bennett anymore. This was about breaking a cycle. Audrey had grown up watching her father intimidate, control, and abuse. She'd learned to make excuses for him, to minimize his behavior, to keep the peace at any cost. And if I didn't stop it now, Noah would grow up watching the same thing. He'd learn that violence was acceptable, that men could get away with hurting people as long as they apologized later, that keeping the peace was more important than standing up for yourself. I couldn't let that happen, so I made a decision. I was going to see this through, no matter what it cost, no matter who it pissed off, no matter how hard it got, because Noah deserved better, and so did Audrey, even if she couldn't see it yet. The next morning, I woke up to 14 missed calls and 23 text messages. None from Audrey's family. They'd all been blocked. These were from people I didn't know, friends of Bennett's, people from his old job, guys from whatever bar he drank at. All of them said basically the same thing. You're a coward. Real men don't call the cops. Hope you're proud of yourself. Watch your back. I screenshotted every single one, saved them to my encrypted folder, forwarded them to Detective Ramirez with a simple message. Harassment continues, documenting everything. She responded within 5 minutes. Good. Keep records. This strengthens the case. I got up, made coffee, checked on Noah. He was awake, babbling to himself in his crib, completely oblivious to the storm happening around him. I picked him up, changed him, made his bottle. Morning, buddy, I said quietly. Your grandpa's in jail. Your family thinks I'm the devil, but you're safe. That's all that matters. He grabbed my finger with his tiny hand. I kissed his forehead. Audrey came out of the bedroom at 7:30. Her eyes were swollen. She'd been crying most of the night. I'd heard her in the bathroom around 3 a.m., sobbing quietly so she wouldn't wake Noah. I didn't say anything, just handed her a cup of coffee. She took it, sat down at the kitchen table. The arraignment's at 10, I said. She nodded. You don't have to go, I said. I'm not going either. Ramirez said she'd call me after with the results. My mom wants me there, Audrey said quietly. I looked at her. Your mom? She called my phone at 6 a.m. from a different number, said I needed to be there, to support my father, to show the judge that the family's united. What did you tell her? I didn't answer, Audrey said, but she left a voicemail. Said if I didn't show up, she'd never forgive me. I sat down across from her. Audrey, you know that's manipulation, right? I know. She's trying to make you choose between supporting an abuser and being a good daughter. That's not a real choice. I know, she repeated, but she's still my mother. And Bennett's still your father. But that doesn't mean you have to enable his behavior. She looked down at her coffee. What if he goes to jail? He's already in jail, I said. The question is whether he stays there or makes bail. What if he can't make bail? Then he stays until the trial. How long? I don't know. Months, maybe. She started crying again. I reached across the table, took her hand. I know this is hard, but you didn't cause this. Bennett did. He made the choice to get drunk, to come to our home, to get violent. Those were his choices. Not yours, not mine. Everyone thinks it's your fault, she whispered. I know. They're saying you provoked him, that you were disrespectful, that you called the cops just to be vindictive. Let them say it, I said. I know the truth. You know the truth. That's what matters. She looked up at me. Do you really believe that? That their opinion doesn't matter? Yes, I said. Because at the end of the day, I can look Noah in the eye and tell him I protected him. Can they say the same? She didn't answer. At 9:45, my phone rang. Claire. Different number. Again. I let it ring. Voicemail notification popped up 30 seconds later. I put it on speaker. Audrey and I both listened. Jasper, this is Claire. I know you blocked me, but I'm calling from Linda's phone. I need you to listen to me. What you're doing is wrong. Bennett made a mistake. He was drunk. He didn't mean to hurt you, but you're destroying this family. You're tearing us apart. And for what? Your pride? Your ego? You need to drop the charges. Right now, before this goes any further. If you don't, there will be consequences. I promise you that. The voicemail ended. Audrey's face had gone white. She just threatened you. Yeah, I said calmly. She did. I saved the voicemail, forwarded it to Detective Ramirez with the message, mother-in-law making threats, different number to bypass block, request documentation. Ramirez called me back immediately. Mr. Stevens, I just listened to that voicemail. That's witness intimidation. We can add that to the case. Against Claire? Potentially. At minimum, it establishes a pattern of harassment and supports our request for a broader restraining order. What does that mean? It means we can request that not just Bennett, but any member of his immediate family be prohibited from contacting you or your wife. Can you do that? We can request it. Whether the judge grants it depends on the evidence. But between the voicemail, the text you forwarded, and the incident with Marcus yesterday, we have a strong case. Okay, I'm at the courthouse now. Arraignment starts in 10 minutes. I'll call you after. She hung up. Audrey stared at me. You're going to get a restraining order against my mother? If she keeps threatening me, yes. Jasper. Audrey, I said firmly. Listen to that voicemail again. Really listen to it. She didn't ask me to reconsider. She didn't apologize for what Bennett did. She threatened me. There will be consequences. Those were her exact words. She didn't mean it. How do you know? I asked. How do you know she didn't mean it? Because she's your mom? Because she's always been nice to you? Audrey, your mom stood there and smiled while Bennett punched me. She's not the person you think she is. Tears streamed down her face. I can't do this. I can't choose between you and my family. You're not, I said. They're choosing. They're choosing to defend Bennett. They're choosing to harass and threaten us. They're choosing to make you feel guilty for something you didn't do. You're not choosing anything. You're just refusing to enable them. She put her face in her hands and sobbed. I didn't push it. Just let her process. At 11:15, Detective Ramirez called. Arraignment's done. Bennett was charged with assault in the 3rd degree with a domestic violence enhancement. Judge set bail at $20,000. Will he make it? Unknown. His wife was there with several family members. They were talking to a bail bondsman. If they can come up with 10%, $2,000, he'll be out by this afternoon. My stomach tightened. And the restraining order? Granted. Temporary order in place for 30 days. Bennett is prohibited from coming within 500 feet of you, your wife, or your residence. No contact of any kind, phone, text, email, third parties. If he violates it, he goes back to jail immediately. What about Claire and the rest of the family? I presented the voicemail and the text messages to the judge. He's issuing a separate order of protection covering Claire Hayes and Marcus Hayes. Same terms. 500 feet. No contact. I felt something loosen in my chest. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is just temporary. In 30 days, there'll be a hearing to determine if it should be extended. Bennett's lawyer will fight it. You'll need to be there to testify. I'll be there. One more thing, Ramirez said. Bennett made a statement after arraignment, told the press, yes, there were reporters there, that you assaulted him first, that he was defending himself, that you fabricated the entire story to get revenge because you don't like him. I almost laughed. There were witnesses, my wife, his wife. I know. And we have your photos, your medical documentation, your statement. But he's going to spin this however he can. Just be prepared for that. I am. Good, I'll be in touch. At 2 p.m., Audrey's phone rang. She looked at the screen. It's my mom. Different number again. Don't answer, I said. She hesitated, then declined the call. Voicemail. She put it on speaker. Audrey, it's Mom. Your father made bail. He's home. He wants to talk to you. Please call me back. We need to figure this out. As a family. Audrey looked at me. He's out. I know. What do we do? Nothing, I said. He has a restraining order. He can't come here. He can't contact us. If he tries, he goes back to jail. What if he doesn't care? Then he goes back to jail, I repeated. Audrey, the law is on our side. He can't touch us. She didn't look convinced. That afternoon, I did something I should have done weeks ago. I went through my phone, my emails, my text messages, every interaction I'd had with Bennett over the last 6 months, and I started documenting. Not just the assault, everything. March 12th, Bennett showed up unannounced at 10 p.m., demanded to see Noah even though he was asleep, became verbally aggressive when I said no, called me worthless and a terrible father. April 3rd, Bennett showed up at the hospital while Audrey was in labor, intoxicated. Nurses threatened to call security. April 20th, Bennett came to apartment, asked to borrow $500. When I said no, he told Audrey I was controlling and trying to isolate her from family. May 8th, Bennett grabbed Audrey's arm during argument about childcare, left visible bruise. Audrey made excuses. June 15th, Bennett showed up drunk, tried to take Noah for a drive without car seat. I physically blocked him. He shoved me, called me a pussy. July the 2nd, Bennett criticized how I was feeding Noah. When I disagreed, he knocked the bottle out of my hand. Formula spilled everywhere. Claire laughed. August 10th, Bennett showed up at 11:30 p.m., pounding on door, yelling about how I disrespected him at Audrey's birthday dinner the week before. Neighbors complained. Building manager sent warning letter. August 29th, Bennett tried to stay overnight. I said no. He told Audrey she needed to control her husband. When Audrey defended me, he called her a traitor. September 24th, assault. I typed it all out. Every date, every incident, every witness. Then I cross-referenced it with my text messages, my emails, my calendar. Every single one checked out. I had been documenting without even realizing it. Every time Bennett showed up, I'd text Audrey, "Your dad's here again." Every time he got aggressive, I'd email myself a note. Bennett showed up drunk, had to ask him to leave. Every time something broke or spilled or got damaged, I'd take a photo for insurance purposes. I hadn't been preparing for a legal case. I'd just been trying to remember, to keep track, to make sure I wasn't crazy. But now I had evidence, a timeline, a pattern, proof that this wasn't one bad night. This was systematic abuse, escalating over months, building toward violence. I compiled it all into a single document, 23 incidents over 6 months, dates, times, witnesses, evidence. I sent it to Detective Ramirez with a simple message. Additional evidence, pattern of abuse predating assault, multiple witnesses, photos attached. She called me 30 minutes later. Jasper, this is exactly what we needed. I didn't realize I'd been tracking it until today. You just made this case airtight, she said. With this timeline, we can prove escalation. We can prove history. We can prove that the assault wasn't an isolated incident. It was the inevitable result of months of unchecked aggression. What does that mean for the case? It means Bennett's lawyer is going to have a very hard time claiming self-defense or accident. It means the DA can push for a harsher sentence, and it means the restraining order will almost certainly be extended. Good. Jasper, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you wait so long to report him? I thought about it. Because I thought I could handle it. I thought if I just kept the peace, it would get better. And I didn't want to hurt Audrey. And now I realize keeping the peace was just enabling him, I said. And the only way to protect Audrey is to stop him, even if she doesn't understand that yet. Ramirez was quiet for a moment. You're doing the right thing. I know. That night, Audrey and I put Noah to bed together. Bath time, bottle, stories, the whole routine. He went down easy, smiled at us from his crib before his eyes closed. The baby monitor glowed green. We stood there for a minute, watching him sleep. He has no idea what's happening, Audrey said quietly. That's the point, I said. He shouldn't have to. She turned to look at me. Do you think I'm weak? For not seeing this sooner? No, I said. I think you were conditioned. Your whole life you were taught to make excuses for him, to keep the peace. That's not weakness. That's survival. But you saw it, she said. You saw it from the beginning. Because I wasn't his kid, I said. I didn't have 29 years of training telling me to ignore it. She leaned her head against my shoulder. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. What if this never ends? It will, I said. One way or another. Ever been pushed around by your own family? Tell me your story. I'm listening. 3 days after the arraignment, Bennett violated the restraining order. He didn't show up at our apartment. He was smarter than that. He showed up at my work. I was in the server room at 2:30 p.m., running diagnostics on a network issue, when my manager knocked on the door. Jasper, there's someone here to see you. Says he's family. My stomach dropped. What does he look like? Big guy. 50s. Flannel shirt. Says his name is Bennett. Call security, I said immediately. He has a restraining order. He's not allowed within 500 feet of me. My manager's eyes went wide. Seriously? Seriously, call them now. He pulled out his radio. Security to the lobby. Code situation. I stayed in the server room, locked the door, pulled out my phone and called Detective Ramirez. Jasper? Bennett's at my workplace. He's violating the restraining order right now. Are you safe? I'm locked in the server room. Security's been called. Stay there. I'm sending officers now. Do not engage with him. Let security handle it. Okay. 5 minutes later, my manager knocked again. Security's got him. He's being escorted out. Police are on the way. I came out of the server room, walked to the lobby window, watched as 2 security guards walked Bennett toward the parking lot. He was yelling, pointing back at the building. His face was red. 2 police cruisers pulled up. Officers got out, approached Bennett. He tried to walk away. They grabbed his arms. He struggled. They put him on the ground, cuffed him. I watched the whole thing through the window, calm, cold, recording it on my phone. Bennett looked up at the building, made eye contact with me through the glass, and for the first time, I saw it. Fear. He knew he'd screwed up. He knew he'd just handed me everything I needed. The officers pulled him to his feet, walked him to the cruiser, put him in the back seat. He never stopped staring at me. I raised my phone, made sure he saw that I was recording. Then I turned and walked back to my desk. Detective Ramirez called me an hour later. He's in custody, charged with violation of a protective order. That's a separate criminal offense. Carries up to a year in jail. Will he make bail again? Unlikely. Judge specifically warned him at arraignment. This is his second arrest in less than a week. He's demonstrated he's a threat. I'd be shocked if they let him out. Good. Jasper, this changes everything. With this violation, we can argue for an extended restraining order, possibly permanent, and it strengthens the assault case significantly. How? Because it shows consciousness of guilt. He knows he did something wrong. Otherwise, why would he risk jail to confront you? He's trying to intimidate you into dropping the charges. It's not going to work. I know, she said, but his lawyer doesn't know that yet. That night, I came home and told Audrey everything. She sat on the couch holding Noah, her face pale. He went to your work? Yeah. What did he want? I don't know. I didn't talk to him. Security handled it. He's in jail again? Yeah. She closed her eyes. My mom called me. She's hysterical. Says you set him up, that you provoked him. How? I asked. I was in a server room. He showed up at my workplace. How is that me provoking him? I don't know, she whispered. But she's convinced this is all your fault. I sat down next to her. Audrey, look at me. She did. Your father has been arrested twice in 4 days. Both times for crimes he actually committed. I didn't make him punch me. I didn't make him violate the restraining order. Those were his choices. I know. Do you? I asked. Because it sounds like you're still making excuses for him. Her face crumpled. I'm not. I don't know what to think anymore. I took her hand. Think about Noah. Think about what kind of man you want him to grow up around. She looked down at our son. 6 months old. Innocent. Perfect. Not like my father, she whispered. Then you know what we have to do. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. That night, I stood in Noah's room, watching him sleep. The baby monitor glowed green on the dresser. My jaw had healed. The bruise had faded to yellow. But I still had the photos, the evidence, the timeline. And now I had something else. Proof that Bennett couldn't control himself. Proof that no matter what consequences he faced, he'd keep coming back. Proof that the only way to protect my family was to make sure he couldn't get to us. I pulled out my phone, looked at the video I'd taken that afternoon. Bennett on the ground, cuffed, staring at me through the window. And I thought, you did this to yourself. I saved the video, backed it up, sent it to Detective Ramirez. Then I whispered to Noah, he's never going to hurt you. I promise. The baby monitor crackled softly, and for the first time in days I felt something close to peace. Bennett stayed in jail for 11 days. No bail, no release, just a holding cell while he waited for his court date. Those 11 days were the quietest we'd had in 6 months. No phone calls, no surprise visits, no drunk rants at our door, just peace. But I knew it wouldn't last. On day 12, Claire showed up. Not at our apartment. She was smarter than that. She knew about the restraining order. She showed up at Audrey's sister's house. Jessica, 2 years younger than Audrey, lived across town with her husband and 2 kids. Jessica called Audrey at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Mom's here, she said. She wants to talk to you. Says it's important. Audrey looked at me. Should I go? That's up to you, I said. But if you do, I'm coming with you. She won't talk if you're there. Then she doesn't really want to talk, I said. She wants to manipulate you without witnesses. Audrey thought about it. I'll go alone, but I'll record it on my phone. I nodded. Okay, but if she gets aggressive, you leave. Immediately. I will. She was gone for 2 hours. When she came back, her eyes were red. Her hands were shaking. What happened? I asked. She sat down on the couch, put her face in her hands. My mom said if I don't convince you to drop the charges, she's cutting me off. Completely. No contact, no relationship, nothing. I sat down next to her. She's bluffing. She's not, Audrey said. I've never seen her like this. She meant every word. What else did she say? Audrey pulled out her phone, hit play on a voice memo. Claire's voice filled the room. Your father is sitting in jail because of your husband. Do you understand that? He's in jail, like a criminal, because Jasper couldn't take a joke, couldn't handle a little discipline. Mom, he punched him. He barely touched him. Jasper's making it sound like he got beaten half to death. It was one punch, one, and Jasper's act like it's attempted murder. There's a bruise, photos, medical records, fake, all of it. Jasper's manipulating you, Audrey. He's turning you against your own family. Can't you see that? He's not. He is. And if you don't fix this, you're going to lose us. Forever. Is that what you want? To lose your parents? Your family? For him? The recording ended. I looked at Audrey. She just admitted on tape that she's trying to coerce you into interfering with a criminal case. I know. Did you tell her you were recording? No. Good. Send that to Detective Ramirez, right now. Audrey hesitated. Jasper, if I do that, my mom could get in trouble. Your mom just threatened to cut you off unless you commit witness intimidation, I said. She deserves to get in trouble. Audrey started crying. I can't. She's my mother. And Noah's your son, I said. Which one matters more? She didn't answer. That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Jasper Stevens? Yes. This is Robert Chen. I'm Bennett Hayes' attorney. I sat up straight. Okay. I'm calling to discuss a potential resolution to this case. My client is willing to plead to a lesser charge in exchange for you agreeing to drop the restraining order and not pursue civil damages. No. Silence. I'm sorry? No. I repeated. I'm not interested in a plea deal. Your client assaulted me in my home, in front of my wife, with my 6-month-old son 15 feet away. Then he violated a restraining order and showed up at my workplace. He doesn't get to plead down. Mr. Stevens, I understand you're upset. I'm not upset, I said calmly. I'm resolute. Your client is dangerous. He has a history of violence, and he's proven he can't control himself even when facing jail time. So no deal. The DA may offer you the same deal. Then I'll turn them down too, I said. Have a nice day, Mr. Chen. I hung up. 30 seconds later, Audrey's phone rang. Claire. Again. Audrey looked at me. She knows. Of course she knows, I said. Bennett's lawyer probably called her first. Audrey answered. Put it on speaker. Audrey, Jasper just turned down a plea deal. Do you have any idea what that means? Your father could go to prison. Prison! All because your husband has to prove some kind of point. Mom, tell him to take the deal. Tell him to drop this. Or I swear to God, Audrey, you'll never see me again. Mom, I can't make him. Then you're choosing him over your father. And I will never forgive you for that. The line went dead. Audrey stared at her phone. She hung up on me. Good, I said. Let her. That night, I got an email from Marcus, Bennett's brother. Subject line. Last warning. I opened it. You think you won. You think because my brother's in jail, you're safe. You're not. When this is over, and it will be over, you're going to regret what you did. Family protects family, and you just made an enemy of the whole Hayes family. Watch your back. I forwarded it to Detective Ramirez without responding. She called me 5 minutes later. That's a direct threat. We can charge him. Do it, I said. Are you sure? This is going to make things worse with the family. It can't get worse, I said. They've already chosen their side. Okay, I'll forward this to the DA. Marcus will likely be arrested by Monday. Good. Audrey came into the room. She'd been putting Noah to bed. Was that Ramirez? Yeah. What now? Marcus sent a threatening email. She's having him arrested. Audrey sat down on the bed, stared at the wall. My whole family's going to be in jail. No, I said. Just the ones who committed crimes. She looked at me. Do you feel anything? Any guilt? Any regret? I thought about it. No. How? She whispered. How do you just not care? Because I'm protecting you, I said. And Noah. That's all I care about. What if I can't do this? She said quietly. What if I can't lose my whole family? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Then you were never going to have a real family anyway, I said. Because a real family doesn't defend abusers. A real family doesn't threaten and intimidate. A real family protects each other. She started crying. I sat down next to her, put my arm around her shoulders. You're not losing a family, I said. You're escaping one. What would you have done in my place? Be honest. Marcus was arrested on Monday morning, threatening communications, witness intimidation, criminal harassment, 3 charges, all based on the emails and voicemails he'd left over the past 2 weeks. Detective Ramirez called me at noon. That's 3 members of the Hayes family now in custody or charged with crimes related to this case. You doing okay? I'm fine, I said. The trial date's been set. February 14th. Judge wants this resolved before spring. 4 months away. Yeah, Bennett's lawyer is going to fight hard. But with the restraining order violation, the documented history, and the harassment from his family, we're in a strong position. What do I need to do? Just keep doing what you're doing. Document everything. Stay safe, and be ready to testify. I will. That night, I did something I'd been planning for weeks. I opened a new bank account, in my name only. Then I transferred half of our savings into it. Not to hide money, not to prepare for divorce, to protect it, because I knew what was coming. The Hayes family was desperate, broke, probably, after paying Bennett's lawyer and Marcus's bail. And desperate people do stupid things. I changed all our passwords, bank accounts, credit cards, utilities, everything. I enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. I put fraud alerts on our credit reports. I installed a security camera at our apartment door. I made copies of every important document, birth certificates, marriage license, social security cards, insurance policies, and stored them in a safety deposit box at a bank across town. Then I sat down with Audrey. I need you to check your credit report, I said. Why? Because I don't trust your family, and I want to make sure no one's taken out loans or credit cards in your name. They wouldn't. Check, I said firmly. Please. She did. 3 credit cards, all opened in the last year, all in her name. Total balance, $11,000. She stared at the screen. I didn't open these. I know. My mom has my social security number, she whispered, from when she helped me file taxes a few years ago. Call the credit bureaus, I said. Report it as fraud. File a police report. Now. But, Audrey, I said quietly, your mother stole your identity. That's a felony. You need to report it. She started crying again, but she made the call. 2 days later, Claire was arrested. Identity theft, credit card fraud, $11,000 in fraudulent charges. Audrey didn't speak for 6 hours after we got the news. She just sat on the couch, holding Noah, staring at nothing. I didn't push her. Just let her process. Finally, she looked at me. My whole family's gone, she said. My dad, my uncle, my mom, all of them. They did this to themselves, I said. I know, she whispered, but it still hurts. I know. She looked down at Noah. What do I tell him? When he's older? About his grandparents? The truth, I said. That they made bad choices, and that we protected him from those choices. She nodded slowly. The next week, Bennett's lawyer called again. My client wants to take the plea deal. Assault in the 3rd degree, 1-year probation, anger management classes, permanent restraining order. No jail time? I asked. No. He's already spent 3 weeks in custody. That counts as time served. And the restraining order? Permanent. He won't be allowed near you, your wife, or your child ever again. I thought about it. What about Claire? Marcus? Those are separate cases, but between you and me, they're likely looking at probation too. Maybe community service. And the fraud charges against Claire? She'll have to pay restitution. But with your wife's cooperation, the DA might go easy on her. I was quiet for a long moment. Mr. Stevens, are you still there? I'll take the deal, I said. On one condition. What's that? Bennett admits guilt. On the record. No Alfred plea. No, I'm not admitting I did it, but I'll accept punishment anyway. Bullshit. He admits he assaulted me. In writing. Silence. I'll talk to my client. 2 days later, Chen called back. He agreed. He'll plead guilty. Full admission. When? Plea hearing is scheduled for November 20th. You don't have to be there. But you can if you want to. I'll be there, I said. November 20th. I took the day off work, put on a suit, drove to the courthouse. Bennett was already there when I arrived. Orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed in front of him, thinner than I remembered, gray in his face. He saw me walk in. Our eyes met. He looked away first. The judge called the case. Bennett stood. His lawyer stood next to him. Mr. Hayes, you're pleading guilty to assault in the 3rd degree. Do you understand the charges? Yes, Your Honor. And you admit that on September 24th you struck Jasper Stevens with your closed fist in his home? Bennett's jaw tightened. Yes. And you understand this plea comes with 1 year probation, mandatory anger management, and a permanent restraining order? Yes. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the court? Bennett looked at his lawyer, then at me. No, Your Honor. The judge nodded. Very well. Plea accepted. Mr. Hayes, you are prohibited from any contact with Jasper Stevens, Audrey Stevens, or their minor child for the rest of your natural life. If you violate this order, you will serve the maximum sentence for assault, 5 years in state prison. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. Court adjourned. The gavel came down. Bennett was led out. He didn't look back. I walked out of the courthouse into cold November air. My phone buzzed. Audrey. Is it over? Me. It's over. I got in my car. Drove home. When I walked in, Audrey was on the floor with Noah, playing with blocks. She looked up at me. How do you feel? I thought about it. Free. She nodded. Me too. Noah laughed, knocked over a tower of blocks. I sat down next to them, and for the first time in 7 months, I breathed. 3 months after the plea hearing, I got a call from Jessica, Audrey's sister. Jasper, it's Jess. Can we talk? I put her on speaker so Audrey could hear. What's up? It's about Dad. And Mom. Audrey's hand went to her mouth. What about them? I asked. Dad's living in a motel off Route 33. Lost the house. Mom moved in with Aunt Linda, but they're fighting constantly. Uncle Marcus lost his job because of the arrest. Can't pass background checks anymore. Okay, I said carefully. Why are you telling us this? Jessica was quiet for a moment. Because I wanted you to know. You were right. Audrey started crying. About what? I asked. About everything. About Dad. About how he treated you. About how Mom enabled him. I didn't see it before. None of us did. We just thought, that's how Dad was. But after everything that happened, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. And he's not a good person, Jessica said quietly. He never was. He's been calling me drunk, screaming about how you ruined his life, how everything's your fault. He hasn't once said he was sorry. Not once. And Mom? She's telling everyone she's the victim, that you manipulated Audrey, that the fraud charges were a misunderstanding. They weren't, Audrey said, her voice shaking. I know, Jessica said. I checked my credit too. After you told me what happened, she took out a credit card in my name 3 years ago. I just never knew. Silence. I'm sorry, Jessica continued, for not believing you, for taking their side, for making this harder than it had to be. Thank you, Audrey whispered. After Jessica hung up, Audrey looked at me. They lost everything. They did, I said. Because of us. No, I said firmly. Because of their choices. Bennett chose to drink, to get violent, to violate a restraining order. Claire chose to commit fraud. Marcus chose to threaten us. Those were their choices, not ours. But, Audrey, I said, if they'd just left us alone after the assault, this would have been one criminal case, one restraining order. That's it. But they kept pushing. They kept threatening. They kept breaking the law. Everything that happened after that, they did to themselves. She nodded slowly. I know. It's hard. I know. A month later, I ran into Bennett. Pure coincidence. I was at a gas station near my work, filling up, and he pulled in 3 pumps over. We saw each other at the same time. He looked broken, older, thinner, gray beard, stained jacket. For a second, I thought he might come over, yell, make a scene, but he didn't. He just looked at me, then looked away, finished pumping his gas, got in his car, and drove off. No words, no confrontation, just defeat. That night, Audrey and I were giving Noah a bath. He was 9 months old now, starting to crawl, babbling constantly. Da 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 da, he said, splashing water everywhere. I laughed. That's right, buddy. Da da. Audrey smiled. First real smile I'd seen from her in weeks. He's happy, she said. Yeah, he doesn't know what we went through to keep him safe. He doesn't need to, I said. Not yet anyway. She looked at me. Do you think we did the right thing? Yes, I said without hesitation. Do you? She thought about it. I think I'm starting to. A week later, Detective Ramirez called one last time. Wanted to give you an update. Bennett completed his anger management program. Claire paid off the restitution for the fraud. Marcus finished his community service. All 3 are on probation, but they've all stayed away from you. No violations. Good. Looks like it's really over, she said. You did good, Jasper. A lot of people would have given up. Let it go. You didn't. I had something worth protecting, I said. I know. Take care of yourself, and that family of yours. I will. That Sunday, Audrey and I took Noah to the park. It was a clear day, cold but sunny. Noah was bundled up in his winter coat, laughing as I pushed him on the baby swings. Audrey stood next to me, her hand on my arm. Look at him, she said. He's so happy. He is. He's safe. Yeah. She leaned her head against my shoulder. Thank you. For what? For protecting us. Even when I didn't understand. Even when I fought you. You protected us anyway. I kissed the top of her head. That's what fathers do. Noah squealed with laughter as the swing went higher, and I thought about the baby monitor, still sitting on the dresser at home, still glowing green every night, still keeping watch, just like me. The Hayes family fell apart on their own. Bennett drank himself into isolation. Claire burned every bridge she had. Marcus couldn't find work. They blamed me for all of it, but the truth was simpler. I didn't destroy them. I just refused to let them destroy us, and that was enough. It's been a year since Bennett punched me. 12 months, 52 weeks, 365 days. Sometimes it feels like it happened yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago. Noah's 17 months old now, walking, talking, curious about everything. He doesn't remember any of it. The screaming, the police, the courtroom. And that's exactly how it should be. Audrey and I are different now. Stronger, I think, but different. She doesn't talk to her parents anymore. Hasn't in 8 months. They tried reaching out a few times, birthdays, holidays, Noah's first steps, but she doesn't respond. It's not anger. It's just boundaries. She told me once, I don't hate them. I just can't trust them. And I can't let Noah grow up thinking what they did was normal. I'm proud of her for that. Jessica comes by sometimes, brings her kids. They play with Noah. Audrey's building a new relationship with her sister, a real one, based on honesty instead of obligation. It's not the family she had, but it's better. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. Calling the cops, pressing charges, going through with everything. The answer's always the same. No, not for a second. Because here's what I learned. Guys like Bennett don't stop on their own. They escalate. They push boundaries. They test limits. And if you don't push back hard, they take everything. Your peace, your safety, your family. I couldn't let that happen. Not to Audrey. Not to Noah, not to myself. So I drew a line, and I held it. Was it hard? Yes. Did it cost me? Yes. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I still work in IT, same company, same desk, same server room, but I'm different there too. People know what happened. Word got around, and I get a certain amount of respect for it now. Not pity. Respect. Because I stood up. I didn't back down. I protected my family. That matters to people. Last week, I was in the break room making coffee when a younger guy from accounting came up to me. Hey, Jasper, can I ask you something? Sure. My girlfriend's dad. He's kind of intense. Gets drunk. Says stuff. Nothing physical yet, but I don't know. I'm starting to worry. I looked at him. 23 maybe. Still figuring things out. Document everything, I said. Dates, times, witnesses. Take photos if you need to. And if he ever crosses a line, physically, legally, whatever, you call the police. Immediately. Don't wait. Don't make excuses. Don't try to handle it yourself. But her family will either understand or they won't, I said. But your job isn't to manage their feelings. Your job is to protect yourself and your girlfriend. That's it. He nodded slowly. Okay, thanks. Anytime. That night I was putting Noah to bed. Bath, bottle, stories, the routine we've had since he was born. He was getting drowsy in my arms. His little hand wrapped around my finger. Dada, he mumbled. Yeah, buddy. I'm here. Love you. My throat tightened. I love you too. I laid him down in his crib, pulled his blanket up, turned on the baby monitor. That green light, still glowing, still watching. And I thought about everything that led here. The punch, the police, the arrests, the trial, the fallout, all of it. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Here's what they don't tell you about standing up to family. It's lonely. It's painful. It makes you question everything. But it's also the most important thing you'll ever do. Because family isn't just blood. Family is the people who protect you, who support you, who show up when things get hard. Bennett wasn't family. He was a bully with a shared last name. And I don't owe bullies anything. Not loyalty, not forgiveness, not a second chance. I owe my son safety. I owe my wife peace. I owe myself dignity. That's it. A few months ago, I saw Claire at a grocery store. We made eye contact across the produce section. She looked away immediately, grabbed her cart, walked in the other direction. I didn't chase her, didn't say anything, just went back to shopping. Audrey wasn't with me. It was just me, solo. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't even hurt. I just didn't care. They'd lost their power over me, and that felt like victory. Last Sunday, Audrey and I were on the couch. Noah was asleep. The baby monitor on the coffee table, that familiar green glow in the dim light. Do you think he'll ask about them someday? Audrey said quietly. About my parents? Probably, I said. What will we tell him? The truth, I said. That your father made bad choices. That your mother enabled him. That we tried to keep the peace, but when they crossed a line we had to protect ourselves. And that we don't regret it. You think he'll understand? When he's older? Yeah, I think he will. She leaned her head against my shoulder. I hope so. Me too. Here's the last thing I want to say. If you're in a situation like I was, dealing with a toxic family member, someone who crosses boundaries, someone who makes you feel unsafe, listen to me. You're not overreacting. You're not being dramatic. You're not tearing the family apart. They are. Your only job is to protect yourself and the people you love. That's it. You don't owe abusers your silence. You don't owe enablers your compliance. You don't owe anyone your safety. Document everything. Build your case. And when the time comes, don't hesitate. Call the police. Press charges. Get a restraining order. Do whatever you have to do. Because you deserve peace. You deserve safety. You deserve a life where you're not constantly looking over your shoulder waiting for the next explosion. And so do your kids. It's late now. Audrey's asleep next to me. Noah's breathing softly through the monitor. I'm sitting here in the dark, thinking about that night. The punch. The red mark on my jaw. The decision I made to stop letting it slide. And I know I'd make the same choice every single time. Because my son is safe. My wife is healing. And I can sleep at night knowing I did the right thing. That's all that matters. My name is Jasper Stevens. I'm 29 years old. And this is what really happened. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. If this story hit home, subscribe and stay around. Sometimes a story like this is all someone needs to feel less alone.